The small Italian town of Bellagio was waking up to another beautiful spring morning on April 13th, 2025. The sun was shining over Lake Como, the birds were singing, and the smell of fresh coffee filled the air in the local cafes. But this peaceful morning would soon turn into one of confusion and fear when one of the town's most respected residents failed to show up for work. Luigi Mangione, a 42-year-old successful wine businessman, was known for his punctuality. When he didn't arrive for an important 9 a.m. meeting at his family's wine company, Mangione Vini, his employees immediately knew something was wrong. His assistant, Marco, tried calling Luigi's phone multiple times, but it kept going to voicemail. By 11 a.m., with still no word from his boss, Marco decided to drive to Luigi's villa to check on him. The drive to Luigi's house took about 15 minutes from the office. As Marco turned onto the private road leading to the villa, he noticed something unusual. The front gate was slightly open. Luigi always kept it locked. Marco parked his car and walked up to the front door, calling out Luigi's name. There was no answer. He knocked loudly several times, then peered through the windows, but couldn't see any movement inside. Feeling increasingly worried, Marco used his spare key to enter the house. The moment he stepped inside, he felt something was wrong. The house was completely silent. No TV, no radio, none of the usual sounds of someone living there. Everything looked perfectly normal, almost too normal. The kitchen was clean, the living room tidy. Marco called out again as he walked through the house, his voice echoing in the empty rooms. Upstairs in the master bedroom, Marco found Luigi's bed neatly made. His phone was on the nightstand, fully charged. His wallet and keys were on the dresser. In the closet, all his clothes were hanging neatly. Down in the garage, Luigi's black Mercedes was parked in its usual spot. It was as if Luigi had simply vanished into thin air, leaving behind all his belongings. Marco called the police immediately. When officers arrived, they searched the entire property, but found no signs of a struggle or forced entry. Nothing appeared to be stolen. The police began interviewing neighbors, but no one had seen or heard anything unusual the night before. The last confirmed sighting of Luigi had been at Ristorante La Punta, where he had dinner alone the previous evening. Security footage from the restaurant showed Luigi arriving at 8:15 p.m., eating his meal calmly, and leaving around 10:30 p.m. He seemed completely normal, even stopping to chat with another couple on his way out. The video showed him walking to his car and driving away, the last known images of Luigi Mangione before his disappearance. As news spread through the small town, people began sharing their theories. Some thought Luigi might have had an accident while walking near the lake. Others whispered about the possibility of kidnapping, though no ransom demand had been made. His ex-wife, Sofia, who lived in Milan with their teenage daughter Giulia, was shocked when police contacted her. She told investigators that Luigi had called her just 2 days earlier to discuss their daughter's upcoming birthday and had sounded completely normal. The police investigation expanded as days passed with no sign of Luigi. Detectives checked his financial records but found no unusual activity. His phone records showed no strange calls. His computer revealed no concerning emails or messages. It was as if a healthy, successful businessman with no known enemies had simply decided to walk away from his life. Except that he had left behind everything, including his wallet, phone, and beloved vintage Rolex watch that he always wore. Divers searched the lake near his villa but found nothing. Police dogs tracked his scent to the end of his driveway, where it suddenly stopped. Helicopters with thermal imaging scanned the surrounding woods but detected no signs of life. The case grew colder with each passing day, leaving investigators frustrated and the community unsettled. Then, 2 weeks after the disappearance, a breakthrough came from an unexpected source. A fisherman reported seeing something unusual on the night Luigi vanished. A dark van parked near Luigi's property around 1:30 a.m. with its lights off. He had thought nothing of it at the time, but now it seemed suspicious. Police reviewed traffic cameras in the area and indeed found footage of a dark-colored van with obscured license plates driving slowly through Bellagio around that time. At the same time, forensic accountants discovered something troubling in Mangione Vini's financial records. Over the past year, nearly 2 million euros had been transferred to several offshore accounts through complex transactions. What made this especially concerning was that these transfers required Luigi's personal authorization. Yet, when investigators asked his business partner, Antonio Russo, about them, he claimed to know nothing. As the police dug deeper into these financial irregularities, they began to suspect that Luigi's disappearance might not have been random at all. Someone had gone to great lengths to make it look like he had simply vanished while quietly stealing from his business. But who would do such a thing? And where was Luigi now? The answers to these questions would lead investigators down a dark path of betrayal, greed, and organized crime. A journey that would reveal shocking truths about what really happened to Luigi Mangione on that quiet April night. The discovery of suspicious financial transactions at Mangione Vini sent shockwaves through the Bellagio police investigation. What had initially appeared to be a simple missing persons case was rapidly evolving into something far more sinister. Detective Inspector Marco Rossi, the lead investigator, assembled a special task force to examine the company's financial records in detail. What they uncovered would paint a disturbing picture of betrayal and criminal conspiracy. The forensic accounting team worked around the clock, tracing the complex money trail. They discovered that over the past 18 months, approximately 2.3 million euros had been systematically siphoned from Mangione Vini through a series of cleverly disguised transactions. The money had been funneled through shell companies in Cyprus and the Cayman Islands before disappearing into untraceable accounts. The sophistication of the scheme suggested professional involvement. This wasn't the work of an amateur. What troubled investigators most was that each transfer required Luigi Mangione's digital signature and personal authorization codes. This raised an alarming question. Had Luigi been complicit in his company's financial bleeding, or had someone gained access to his secure credentials? The answer came when IT specialists examined Luigi's office computer. They found evidence of remote access software that had been installed without his knowledge, along with several keystroke logging programs that would have allowed someone to steal his passwords and security codes. The investigation now turned its focus to Luigi's inner circle. His business partner of 15 years, Antonio Russo, became a prime suspect when financial records showed he had made several large cash deposits to his personal account, coinciding with the suspicious transfers. When questioned, Russo claimed these were legitimate bonus payments, but his nervous demeanor and inconsistent answers raised red flags. Background checks revealed Russo had substantial gambling debts to several known organized crime figures in Naples, debts that had mysteriously been paid off in recent months. Meanwhile, another troubling lead emerged from Luigi's personal life. Phone records showed frequent late-night calls to a number registered to Elena Conti, a 34-year-old financial analyst at the Bank of Lombardy, where Mangione Vini maintained its primary accounts. When detectives discreetly interviewed Conti, she admitted to having a 6-month romantic relationship with Luigi, but insisted it had ended weeks before his disappearance. He became distant and paranoid in those final weeks, Conti told investigators. He said he'd discovered something at work that frightened him, but he wouldn't tell me details. The case took a dramatic turn on May 3rd, when a local fisherman named Enzo Borelli came forward with crucial information. On the night of Luigi's disappearance, Borelli had been checking his nets near the shore around 2 a.m. when he noticed unusual activity near Luigi's private dock. "I saw two men loading something heavy into a small motorboat," Borelli recalled. It was dark, but I could tell they were trying to be quiet. When they saw me watching, they quickly sped off toward the middle of the lake. At the time, Borelli thought nothing of it. Night fishing was common in the area, but after hearing about Luigi's disappearance, he realized what he might have witnessed. Acting on this tip, police divers conducted an extensive search of the lakebed near Luigi's property. On May 7th, they made a chilling discovery: a waterproof case containing a USB drive wedged between rocks beneath the dock. Forensic technicians carefully dried and examined the device, which contained several files, including a video recorded by Luigi himself just 2 days before his disappearance. The shaky, self-recorded footage showed a visibly distressed Luigi speaking in hushed tones. "If anything happens to me, look to Russo and the Sicilians. They've been bleeding the company dry through the export invoices. I confronted Antonio yesterday and he threatened me. I think they're watching my house." The video continued with Luigi detailing specific account numbers and transaction dates before abruptly cutting off when headlights appeared outside his window. Armed with this damning evidence, police moved quickly to arrest Antonio Russo on suspicion of embezzlement and conspiracy. When confronted with the video during interrogation, Russo initially denied everything, but eventually broke down. "I was in over my head," he confessed. "I owed money to dangerous people. When Luigi discovered the missing funds, they told me to keep him quiet." Russo claimed a shadowy figure known only as Il Banchiere, the banker, had orchestrated the entire scheme, using Mangione Vini's international wine exports to launder money for the Sicilian mafia. According to Russo, when Luigi threatened to go to the authorities, Il Banchiere ordered his silencing. Russo insisted he didn't know the specifics of what happened that night, only that he'd been instructed to leave his phone at home and meet at a designated location to establish an alibi. "They told me if I asked any questions, my family would pay the price," Russo said, visibly shaking. As investigators pieced together Russo's testimony with other evidence, a horrifying picture emerged. Luigi had likely been abducted from his home by professional operatives, taken by boat across the lake, and transported to a secondary location for interrogation about what he knew. The timing matched the fisherman's account, and forensic teams later found minute traces of blood in Luigi's garage that had been meticulously cleaned but were still detectable with luminol. The investigation now expanded beyond Bellagio as financial crimes specialists from Rome joined the case. They uncovered a vast network of shell companies and fake export invoices used to launder money through several Italian wineries. Bank records showed a €500,000 payment to a Cayman Islands account just 3 days after Luigi's disappearance, a transaction investigators believed was payment for his elimination. By mid-May, the case had attracted national media attention, with newspapers dubbing it the wine merchant conspiracy. The ROS, Raggruppamento Operativo Speciale, Italy's elite anti-mafia unit, took over the investigation. Their first major breakthrough came when they identified Salvatore Toto Greco, a known mafia enforcer with ties to financial crimes, as one of the men seen near Luigi's property on the night of the disappearance. As the net tightened around the conspirators, shocking new details emerged about the scale of the operation. What had begun as a simple embezzlement scheme at a family winery had uncovered a sophisticated international money laundering ring with connections to high-level bankers and government officials. And at the center of it all remained one unanswered question: where was Luigi Mangione's body? The answer to that question would come in the investigation's most disturbing development yet, a discovery that would shake even veteran detectives to their core and reveal the true brutality of the organization Luigi had stumbled upon. The investigation into Luigi Mangione's disappearance reached its climax when Salvatore Toto Greco was arrested at a safe house outside Palermo. Facing life imprisonment, the mafia enforcer made a deal with prosecutors. his full confession in exchange for witness protection. What Greco revealed would finally solve the mystery of Luigi's fate and expose the shocking truth behind Il Banchiere. Under interrogation, Greco admitted he had been part of the team that abducted Luigi from his villa. "We disabled the security system using codes provided by someone inside the company," Greco revealed. "When we entered, Mangione was working late in his study. He put up a fight, more than we expected." Forensic analysis later confirmed traces of Luigi's blood in the study, matching Greco's account of a violent struggle. The kidnappers had transported Luigi by boat across Lake Como to a waiting van, exactly as the fisherman had described. From there, they drove him to an abandoned farmhouse in the countryside near Bergamo, a property later linked to shell companies associated with the money laundering scheme. "We were just supposed to scare him, make him hand over his files," Greco claimed, but Mangione refused. He said he'd already sent evidence to the authorities. This was a bluff. Investigators found no such evidence, but it sealed Luigi's fate. According to Greco, Il Banchiere personally gave the order to eliminate him. The execution was carried out in the farmhouse's basement, after which Luigi's body was dissolved in acid, a common mafia method for disposing of evidence. Forensic teams would later find traces of industrial-grade acid in the drainage system, along with a single gold filling that matched Luigi's dental records. With Greco's testimony, investigators finally identified Il Banchiere as Roberto Fabiani, a respected Milanese investment banker who had been using his legitimate business as cover for laundering mafia money through Italian wineries. Fabiani was arrested during a dawn raid at his luxury apartment, where police found detailed records of the entire operation, including coded references to Luigi's murder. The trial that followed lasted 6 months and captivated Italy. Prosecutors presented overwhelming evidence, financial records, forensic findings, Greco's testimony, and most damningly, Fabiani's own encrypted messages ordering Luigi's permanent silence. Fabiani received life imprisonment, while Russo was sentenced to 22 years for his role. 13 other conspirators, including bankers, accountants, and mafia associates, received substantial prison terms. In a poignant postscript, divers recovered Luigi's signet ring from the lakebed near his villa, the only physical remnant of the man who had dared to stand up to the corruption in his business. His daughter Giulia established the Mangione Foundation to combat financial crime, ensuring her father's legacy would live on. As for Bellagio, the town slowly healed but never forgot. Some residents claim that on quiet evenings, you can still see a shadowy figure walking the vineyards, a guardian spirit watching over the land Luigi loved. The case remains a haunting reminder of how greed can corrupt even the most beautiful places, and how one man's courage ultimately brought down a criminal empire.